intentional this month about breaking through fear. And also, as you're aware of, we have been walking through the Bible from Genesis chapter 12, starting in January, and now we've graduated to Exodus chapter 2. And today, in dealing with the thought of breaking through fear for our monthly theme, I want to preach or teach to you this morning, close to afternoon, from this subject, Scared Straight. Scared Straight. Family, Scared Straight is a program that has a rather controversial approach to teenage misbehavior. The focus of the Scared Straight program is fear. Fear is used as an incentive in hopes that it will provide better obedience by the teenagers. So teenagers that have behavior problems are taken to prisons, and they spend the entire day in a prison being verbally attacked by correctional officers and by inmates in hopes that this will scare the teenagers to the point that they straighten up. The Scared Straight program is designed to use fear as the driving force to deter teenagers from continuing down the wrong road. And family, the truth is, I personally believe that God too has a Scared Straight program. I believe this because just like teenagers, we find ourselves having spiritual behavior problems. And I believe that sometimes God uses fear as an incentive in hopes that he can scare us straight. And I want to talk to you this morning, family, using this thought, scared straight, in hopes that you will find in your life the areas where God has used fear to scare you to try to get you back on the right path. If y'all can go back with me just a little bit, just for some old school folk that went to the old school Pentecostal church, I didn't understand that for a long time why the preachers preached so hard about heaven versus hell, and why they told you everything you did, you was going to hell. If your shirt didn't match your shoes, you was going to hell. If your makeup was too thick, you was going to hell. Sisters, if you wore breeches or long pants, you was going to hell. Men, if you wore short pants, you was going to hell. And I didn't understand why they preached so hard about heaven versus hell. But as I was preparing this week, and as I watched one show called Scared Straight, I understand now. The idea was not to cast you into hell for every preacher, but the idea was in hopes that talking about hell and the fire and brimstone, that it would scare you to make you do the right thing. But the reality is, if any of you are like me, I was a little bit of a rebel, so that didn't scare me enough. I had to touch the hot stove myself to find. Y'all ain't gonna see, y'all acting real funny right now, but you ain't nothing like me. All of y'all been saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled all your life. But I was the kid that was scared during service. But the moment I left out of church, I went right back to doing the same thing that I did before. So for some teenagers, the Scared program, it does work, Scared Straight program. But then you got some that's just like me, that I just have to fall on my own and find out on my own. And God knows there have been times in my life, and somebody can shout over this, that I found out exactly what God was trying to prevent, what God was trying to stop. And now all God got to do is just show me one thing, and it scares me straight. Scares me straight. Family, we look in the book of Exodus chapter 2, seemingly now takes us on a new journey. We're moving away from the previous journey of dealing with the previous generation of Israelites, and now we meet an entire new group of Israelites, because here in Exodus chapter 2, we're introduced at the beginning to two people that were from the tribe of Levi. We meet a man whose name is Amram and a woman whose name is Jochebed. Now, for those of you that have been hanging out with us for a while, we can go back and you remember that Levi was the third child, or third son, that was born to Jacob and Leah. And Levi is also the same son that when his sister Diana was raped by Shechem, we talked about it in the message, Dirty Diana, he was the one that went into the land of Shechem, him and his brother Simeon, and they killed every man in the city because of what they did to his sister. But also, when Jacob was on his deathbed, because of Levi and his murderous behavior, he was cursed because of what he did. So it's that Levi that we get the tribe of Levi, or the Levites. And now we have two individuals that are from that tribe. In fact, this woman, Jochebed, she is the daughter of Levi. And this is going to get kind of crazy. You can understand it a little bit. Don't act in it. But Amram is the grandson of Levi, which means Jochebed is not only his wife, not only Amram's wife, but that's his auntie. Okay, don't act in that. Don't act in that. But it was just biblical ways of producing. And we see these two Levites, Jochebed, the wife, and Amram, the father, and they give birth to their third child, a baby boy by the name of Moses. And Moses, he's birthed or nursed by his biological mother, Jochebed. But then he's adopted by Pharaoh's daughter, Bethiah, which means to us that Moses is raised in a house with privilege. Because he's raised by the Pharaoh's daughter, Bethiah, but he's also raised in the palace with Pharaoh, which means also that this guy Moses, that he was trained in the life of Egyptians. So that means he was educated as an Egyptian. He was learned as an Egyptian. He was trained as an Egyptian, but the Hebrew was still inside of him. And when we meet Moses, it's going to get really interesting. When we meet Moses in chapter 2, around verse 11, Moses is now an adult. And at this stage in his life, we find out that not only is he an adult, but he's very passionate about his people. To the point that one day Moses is out, he's taking care of errands, running errands and taking care of chores, and he sees an Egyptian oppressing and beating a Hebrew, and Moses kills the dude, looks around and checks and buries him in the sand. This has always been intriguing to me for this very reason, because after all, Moses is raised by an Egyptian Pharaoh's daughter, Bethiah, which means he's learned in Egyptians' ways, he's educated in Egyptian ways, he's trained in Egyptian ways, so it only makes sense that above everything else, he would honor and respect Egyptians. But when he sees an Egyptian beating on his Hebrew brother, he kills the Egyptian and buries him in the sand. And that's because, family, no matter how much Egyptian training you get, the Hebrew will always come out of you. Yeah. Okay, maybe some of y'all didn't understand it in that terminology. Let me say it like this. You can take a person out the hood and the country, but you can't take the hood and country out the person. Yeah, maybe that'll resonate. And it bothers me. I'm telling you, it bothers me when folk get a little bit of education and they move to a new location and then they start acting like they too good for the place where they grew up at. Or have you ever worked with somebody that got a little promotion on the job? You ain't getting nothing but a 25-cent raise, and now you acting all bougie like you better than somebody. It bothers me, but I'm so glad for Peter. In 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 13, Peter said, I think it's right that I stir up your memory as long as I'm alive. And that just resonates for us. So the next time somebody move from Hazlehurst, get a little education or get an increase on their job, and they come riding by acting like they better than you are, do like Peter did. Stir up their memory and remind them, you from the, hey, I'm proud of you and everything, but you from the same country dirt roads of Hazlehurst, Georgia, just like me. You from the same place. You ain't have nothing growing up. We played in the same park. We shared the same frosted place. We bathed in the same water. You wore your auntie t-shirt and your cousin t-shirt. The next time somebody get all bougie with you, just do what 2 Peter chapter 1:13 says. Just stir up their memory and remind them that you come from the same place. It bothers me. It bothers me. It bothers me. It bothers me. Folk, Roberta, they get a little education. They get a little bougie. Get a new car. You forget you got car payments. Mine paid for. You get a little funny. And Moses, as much Egyptian that he's learned, the Hebrew still comes out. Moses sees that his brother, his Hebraic brother, is being beaten, and Moses kills him. The Bible says this, he looks around to make sure ain't nobody checking him, and he buries him in the sand. But verse 14 says that the next day, Moses goes out, and now he sees two Hebrews fighting each other. And Moses checks them, but listen to their response. One of them says, who are you? Who made you the boss and judge over us? What you gonna do, kill me like you killed the Egyptian? And that's why you got to be careful how you try to help some people. Because check this, Everybody needs help, but some people don't know how to handle help. And some people have so much fear in their lives, fear will cause them to remain complacent where they are while you're trying to help them. They're fighting you, you're fighting for them. And maybe that's why Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves, but I could have freed 1,000 more if only they had known they were slaves. And family, let me encourage you, don't you kill yourself trying to help people that really don't want help. So many of us exert so much energy, we're trying to help our children. Well, if your child don't want help, if they ain't trying to do better, then you just put them in the hands of the Lord and make sure you live your life. Too many of us are trying to help everybody in the city, but ain't nobody trying to, if they not trying to help themselves, then don't you yourself trying to help them. Ain't this just like people? Moses has just killed somebody for you, and now you turn around the next day and you say, well, Moses, what you gonna do? Kill me the same way you kill him? Moses sees his Hebrew brothers being beaten. He murders a man on their behalf. And their response, Anthony, is, who made you boss over us? Who told you you judge over us? What you gonna do? Kill me like you killed the Egyptian? This messed me up because Moses has went out on a limb. And he did this because he saw you getting beat. And now your response is to him, what you gonna do? Kill me like you killed the Egyptian? And let me drop this on you real quick. That's why also you can't do everything around everybody. Okay. See, my generation kills me because we want to keep it real all the time, and I'm 100 all the time, and you just so real, and I can't be fake. Well, what I've learned is there's some people you got to be fake with. Okay, all right. Because, see, if you show your real self to everybody, some people can't handle the real you. And that's why I'm very particular about who I show myself around. Because some people will take the real you and later use it against you. And that's why I understand keeping it real. I know you want to keep it 100, but even Jesus has sense enough to take only 3 of the 12 up on the mountain with him. So if Jesus had a small group, what makes you think you need to show your real self to everybody? Some people don't need to know your business. Some people don't need to know about your relationship. Stop posting all your stuff on Facebook. Stop letting everybody know what you're going through on Instagram, because some people will take your stuff and use it against you later. That's why I won't nobody know I'm engaged and getting married until the day I'm at the altar. Y'all laughing. But because the reality is, if I post it on Facebook, somebody might try to stop it before I get there. But if I'm about to say I do and y'all just finding out, it's too late then. So don't you let everybody in on your business, because everybody that you call bro and sis ain't your brother and your sister. So you got to be careful, Moses, not to kill folk in front of other folk, because later they'll say, who made you the boss of us? And preachers, can I just be on my soapbox for just one more moment? And preachers, we have it worse, because I'm that preacher. I want to keep it real. I want to be down to earth. I want to hang out. But the moment I make somebody mad, I thought you were supposed to be a pastor. I thought you was a preacher. Let me bring it home for you. You've been getting your life together, and the moment one person see you do one thing wrong, I thought you were saved. I thought you was over there at Impact, going to James Earl Church. I knew y'all were fake. I knew y'all, but I ain't worried about that no more. And that's why you got to protect yourself. That's why you got to cover yourself up. You can't let everybody know what you're doing. And every now and again, I don't even go to Walmart sometime until it's 12:30, because I don't want everybody to see me in jogging pants. Because somebody said the other day, this is the first time I ever see your feet out. So what? I got my feet out. It's my own life. You got to be careful. You can't let everybody see everything. Moses, folk crazy. This is the first time I've seen your feet out. I wear flip-flops and sandals every day. Moses says, he kills somebody on behalf of them, and the same guys that he killed somebody for are now snitching on Moses. They say, Moses, what you gonna do? Kill us like you did the Egyptian? So now the same people that Moses has killed somebody for is now snitching on him. And when Moses realized they're snitching, he gets scared. He's afraid. Fear strikes. But here it is. This is a different result from fear this time. Because this fear that Moses experiences in this moment takes him in another direction. This is a different type of fear. It has a different result. And this fear that Moses experiences this time is a fear that helps him to break through. Because here it is, family, sometimes fear can work positively in our lives. And this moment that Moses has fear, we can take this moment of fear from Moses' life and apply it to our lives. For this reason, because sometimes, family, fear can motivate us to, number one, catch this if you can, it can motivate us to move out of our comfort zone. Okay. Y'all look. Let me show you where it is in the text. Moses is afraid because he finds out the same guys he fought for are now snitching on him. And out of his fear, he leaves from Egypt and heads to Midian. Now, what you got to understand, and I'm going to fast forward a little bit, Midian is where Moses will meet God. Okay, yeah. It's going to be in the next chapter. You've heard about the burning bush. Everybody heard about the burning bush story? It's in Midian where the burning bush is. And catch this, Moses is in Egypt. He lives in the palace. His biological mother is Jochebed, but his adopted mother is the Pharaoh's daughter, Bethiah. So he has a good life. He has a comfortable life to the point he can go out and kill somebody, bury them, and nobody says nothing if they didn't see it. So Moses has a comfortable life, but when he finds out that his boys are snitching on him and now fear strikes, he moves. And the reality is, family, the same fear that makes some people be stagnant and stuck in a comfort zone is the same fear that can move you out of a comfort zone. In fact, some of us would have never moved if it had not been for fear. Here it is. Some of us had to get scared straight. Yeah. It took one time being in the back of a police car and going downtown that I never went to jail again. Because I'm going to tell you now, I'm scared. I don't want to be locked up behind no bars. I'm claustrophobic. I don't like showering around other men. That's my perspective. That's how I feel. So it scared me straight. And the reality is, if I would have never experienced that, and some of you right now, if there have not been some scary experiences in your own life where you almost died, almost lost your babe, almost lost your boo, almost lost your child, if it had not been from some of those moments, you would have never moved. Moses only moves because he's scared. He's scared that Pharaoh going to kill him now because the snitches have told Pharaoh. And the Bible says that Pharaoh now wants to kill Moses. And Moses said, bro, before you kill me, y'all, I'm getting up out of here. He leaves because, number one, sometimes fear can motivate us to move out of our comfort zone. We can use Moses' example can apply to our lives because, secondly, fear can motivate us not only to move out of our comfort zone. Watch what happens. Moses has now came to Midian, and he's sitting by a well, and 7 women come to the well. Single brothers. Okay, y'all acting so funny. I can't even be myself because y'all acting funny. 7 sisters. Moses is single. 7 single women come to the well. I'm going to preach this somewhere else. Okay, because y'all ain't getting, well, everybody married then. Hallelujah. 7 single women come to the well. Watch what the text says. When the 7 daughters get to the well, it says that the shepherd men, they come and they run them off. But watch Moses. But it says Moses got up and went and checked the shepherds, rescued the women, and gave them water. Because this is what happened. And sisters, catch this. This will be a whole nother message for a whole nother time. But these 7 women came to the well to work. Okay. All right. They ain't housewives. They came to work. All right. Their daddy sent them to the well to get water for the flock. Y'all ain't liking me right now. Y'all looking at me real funny. We'll talk about that after service. They came to work, get water for the flock. But the shepherd men, Miss Joanne, they come and scare them off. Well, Moses rises up, rescues the women, and gets them the water. Because watch what fear has done. Fear will motivate you sometimes to stand up and fight. Watch, I got to make this make sense real quick because this feels good. This feels good to me. Right, Moses, wait a minute. You just ran from a fight. Y'all missed it. They snitched on you and told Pharaoh wanted to kill you. Why you ain't stay and fight Pharaoh? But when these girls show up, okay, now you, here's what happened. The fear made him go to the well, and now he stands up and fights. Because sometimes fear can motivate you to stand up and fight. I told y'all last week, like, I can't fight, right? Never could, really never could fight. I told y'all last week. I had two bullies in my life. One of them is a partner of this church, and I won't tell y'all who she is, but she's a partner of this church, right? And she bullied me on the school bus growing up. Second grade, she used to poke me with a pencil sitting behind me. She's not here today, so stop looking around. Nosy. So I had two bullies, but I had a second bully, a dude named Brian White. And we stayed in the same Hammond homes out on Douglas Highway. And some days, I can't believe I'm admitting this, some days I was so scared, he said at school, I got off the bus and ran to apartment 22. Scared to death of him. I'm scared, fearful of him, right? But one day, we were at school, he talking noise all day at school, 9th grade, I'll never forget this. We got football practice, he talking noise the whole football practice. I'm a quarterback, he a fullback, he talking noise the whole practice. We get in the locker room, I'm scared. I'm like, man, he done beat me up too many times in the projects. Ain't no, the locker room about this big, ain't nowhere to go. I'm scared. He's buffed up, he's mad, he been talking noise all day, and he takes one step toward me, and out of fear, y'all are about to miss this. It's not because I was skilled at fighting, but when he stepped at me, out of fear, I hit one. And what happened is two of them caught him. Y'all about to miss it. And when the two caught him, he fell back and stumbled over a bench, and I got on top of him, and I just went to work, and I thought about here it is, y'all are about to miss this. I thought about everything he had done to me, and sometimes in fearful moments in your life, it makes you stand up and fight. When the devil comes at you, I know it's fearful sometimes, but if you just catch one of these, and when the devil falls down, you stand on top of him and think about everything the devil stole from you, every time you got your heart broke, every time you've been broken down. Sometimes it's fear that motivates you to stand up and fight. And do I got anybody in this place right now that you can attest to the fact that you ain't always been the best fighter, you ain't had the best boxing skills, but if you catch me when I'm really scared. Moment, called him, boom, boom, fell, and never again, after that 9th grade fight in that locker room, did he ever try me again. And you know what it did? Come here, Moses. And then every time he even smirked, I could stand up. Y'all missing this metaphorically. Because the moment that you gain victory over the enemies in your life, and once you see that you really can beat your enemy, and once you see that your enemy is not as strong as you thought your enemy was, the next time the enemy comes at you, you can stand your own ground. You can stand up and fight. Because it was fear that motivated you to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take this chance. And now every time the enemy comes, you just stand your ground. And let me go on this. That's how some of us going to survive. You only going to survive because it was fearful moments. You stand up and fight against people that talked about you, people that lied on you, people that mistreated you. Maybe you didn't fight them with your fists, but maybe you just fighted them by being calm. When they came in yelling and they wanted you to scream back, you just stood there. They say silent treatment is the worst treatment. Maybe it's those type of moments that when you were fearful and scared, you just stood your ground. And you know what's crazier than a crazy person? Another crazy person. Because Muhammad Ali was one of the people that said, you know what I'm going to do with Sonny Liston? Sonny Liston is big and he's bad, but Muhammad Ali said I was scared to death, but every press conference I went in there acting crazy. And sometimes you just got to sit there like ain't nothing bothering you. Oh, you mad at me? Oh, you about to hit me? Oh, it's cool. We're going to see what's happening. And sometimes your fear will motivate you to stand up and fight. Moses runs from one fight, but goes and handles the shepherds, and now he's showing off because he rescues the girls and gets them water. And the girls go home to their father, Ruel, who's Jethro, and when they get home, they're telling their dad. Fellas, y'all, single guys are missing this. They go home, they tell their daddy, Daddy, we don't know who he was. But for some reason, this young man came in on our behalf. Because Ruel said, how did y'all get here so fast? Normally, it takes y'all longer to get the water and the water down the flock. How did y'all get, it's all in your Bible. How did y'all get here so quick? And they said, Dad, we met a dude. They thought he was Egyptian. And Jethro says, why didn't y'all invite him over? So somewhere along the lines, it's missed in the scripture, but somebody had to invite Moses. And here's the challenge. Moses goes, and it says around verse 17, it says that Moses now goes and he agrees to live with them. This puts us to our final point. Sometimes fear motivates us to take a risk. Moses is born Hebrew. He moves to Egypt, not by choice. He's adopted by the Egyptian Pharaoh king's daughter. He lives in the palace, and now he runs from Egypt to Midian. Let me give you the idea of Midian real quick. Y'all walk with me. When we go back to the book of Genesis, right, Abraham, who we talked about first, after Sarah dies, he gets remarried. He marries a girl named Keturah. I just have my belief what her nationality was. Her name is Keturah. Right? He marries a lady named Keturah. Him and Keturah have 6 sons. One son's name is Midian. Right? Joseph, who comes later, who's also in the lineage of Abraham. Abraham is Joseph's great-great-grandfather. Joseph, if you remember, his brothers, when they pulled him out of the Citrian, they sold him to the Midianites, which the Midianites come from Midian. The Midianites then sell Joseph to the Ishmaelites, who sell Joseph into slavery. So now the same people that enslaved you, Joseph, and sold you to more slaves, now Moses, who's in the lineage of Joseph, is now running to where they live. Okay, maybe y'all missed it. Midianites sold Joseph's people into slavery, or Joseph into slavery. Joseph is Moses' family, and now Moses, you're running to the same land of the people that sold you into slavery. So in essence, we find Moses, because of fear, taking the ultimate risk on his life. Because you can get the Midian, and they could take your life. Or they can sell you right back into slavery in Egypt, like they did your great cousin Joseph or great uncle Joseph. But not only does Moses come to Midian, he moves in with the priest of Midian. And then this is what happens that blessed me. Once he moves in with the priest of Midian, he says, I want you not only to live with me, but I want you to marry one of my daughters. Here it is. This don't happen if Moses don't take a risk. And can I say this to somebody that might be single? For the next relationship, it's going to require you to take a risk. Because some of us are afraid to love again because we've been hurt 1 or 2 times. And sometimes, here it is, true love is about taking a risk. Can I say this to a married couple right now? If you want your marriage to work, it requires you to compromise and take risks. Because everything about love is about taking a risk. Because you don't know in reality if a person is going to hurt you. You don't know how they're going to turn out. You just meet them. Y'all have the honeymoon moment and mother horn, papa horn. We don't know 40 years later we're going to still love each other the same. We just know right now is good. That's for married people. Some of y'all about... So sometimes you got to take a risk, but here it is. The greatest risk come motivated by fear. And Moses takes this moment of fear to go to a place where he shouldn't go because they could take his life or sell him right back into slavery in Egypt where Pharaoh was trying to kill him. But he takes a risk from the motivation of fear. And family, sometimes in your lives, you got to be okay with embracing fear because fear can motivate you to take risks that you never thought you would take before. Maybe you've been wanting to move out of Hazlehurst, and it's the fear of moving out of Hazlehurst that actually makes you get up out of Hazlehurst. Maybe it's a fear of going back to school because you feel like you're too old, feel like you can't do it. But the fear of failure, the fear of being broke will make you go back and do stuff, taking a risk that you never thought you could do before. And Moses, by fear, is motivated to take a risk. And here's the part that blessed me, and I got to go. He takes a risk. I'm so far ahead of myself. And two things happen with the risk. The first thing happens is he gets his good thing. Bible says, however you want to interpret it, the one that finds a wife. The one that finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. Here's the challenge. Every woman ain't a wife. See that? See that? We love to clap that you receive favor when you find me, but maybe you're not a wife yet. Maybe you still got some work to do. Maybe you're not favored just yet. Because it don't say he who finds a woman. It says the one that finds a wife finds favor. And this is the part I love. Finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. So this is just for me. This ain't for nobody else. So God, if you've done for me what you've done for me right now, and I ain't got no wife, y'all should have been. If we pay Impact off and I ain't got no wife, if we got the land next door and I ain't got no wife, when I get my favor, y'all don't know how to celebrate. So let me say this to a brother in here. If God has blessed you with what you got now, and the word says when you get a wife, you get a good thing and receive favor from the Lord, I can't imagine what the next phase of my life going to look like when I get connected or when you get connected to your favor. And this is for a wife that'll jump and get happy. If you're the favor, it means you benefit off of what God does for him. So Moses, because of fear, motivated by fear, he takes a risk. He stays and moves in with the priest of Midian. He gets a wife named Zephyrah, who's an African queen. That's a whole nother story. He gets her, and then in the next chapter, he's getting ready to meet God. I'm done. I can't wait till God puts me on platforms to talk to single people and single brothers and single sisters. Because watch this. He meets the wife and then God. Okay, I'm done. I'll leave that for y'all to do homework. He meets the wife at the house of the priest of Midian, and then he has the encounter with the burning bush. And Moses meets God in the burning bush. Everyone standing to your feet. I'm done. You do your homework on it. Here's three things. Sometimes